Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so very much for dropping by this video. To anyone who's new, a very warm welcome. This channel is dedicated to helping people recover from fake non-duality. If you've heard the phrase non-duality, if you've read a book about non-duality, or if you've been to a gathering that was about non-duality or non-dual, 9 times out of 10, it was actually not non-duality, but fake non-duality. And this channel is dedicated to educating people on the difference and helping people recover from the very harmful, damaging, delusional teaching of fake non-duality or Neo-Advaita. So one way that Neo-Advaita really harms people is this teaching about free will. So this will be part 2. I've already did my previous video was where I started to address this. So there's 2 questions. Is there free will, and is it useful to believe there's free will? And so whether or not there is free will, I invite us to put that question aside for a moment, because the more important, because some things are true, but not helpful. They're only helpful at the precise right moment in a spiritual evolution. That's why Ramana Maharshi didn't advise self-inquiry to most people. That's why Ramana Maharshi didn't say the world doesn't exist to most people. And by the way, I dispute that that's actually what he said, but that's the English translation, and that's a whole nother topic. But regardless, he didn't give that teaching to most people. And he himself over and over and over said that a particular technique or a particular teaching was dependent on the state of mind of the student. But what does Neo-Advaita do? It's created a formula, and it gives the same formula to every single person, regardless of where they are on their journey, because it's a product. It's not an actual teaching. It's really a product. So, free will. Let me give an example from my life, and then we can look a little bit more. So I was in a relationship with someone, and there was a struggle I was having that didn't really, in my life, it wasn't really connected directly to the relationship, but this struggle was something that this person really didn't like. They had issue with it. They whenever I would talk about it, they would sort of get agitated. And when I brought it up one day, they said to me, it's you're the one who's keeping yourself in that position. Basically, you're the one keeping yourself stuck. Now, so first of all, that was uncomfortable to hear. Not because it was. So we'll get to the moment whether that's true or not. The question is it helpful? 99 out of 100 times, that's actually not a helpful thing to hear. When someone is stressed out or in a challenging place, for someone else to say, you're the one causing all this in a kind of angry voice. Not helpful. It might be true. So this is a block I have in my life, and maybe I am 100% keeping myself stuck in it. I don't think so, but that's another story. But the question is it helpful? In that moment, no. And in general, such words are very unhelpful. What it does is it creates shame. Then people get all mental about it. Well, I'm doing it, but how do I get myself out of it? But I'm stuck in it, so I don't know. And that's exactly what happens in Neo-Advaita. So in this situation, that thing that person said, it can kind of become a maze. Like if you take it as true, well, I'm keeping myself stuck, but I don't know how to get out of it, but it's just me keeping myself stuck. It becomes an endless loop. And that's exactly how Neo-Advaita operates. And this happens with the whole thing of free will. I don't have free will, but then I can't do anything. But I have to do something, but it's not me. But Am I even thinking these thoughts? Does it matter what I do? It doesn't matter what I do, but it does matter what I do. But da 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 da. Neo-Advaita is a mental, I call it a mental cult because it's a trap, because it traps you in ways of thinking that are very hard to get out from. So what I can say is whether free will is true or not, ultimately, on a practical level, it's essential to act as if it's true. And Ramana Maharshi was adamant that people need to make effort. In fact, he once said, you must make effort now. And at a certain point, you will be unable to make effort. So I had the opportunity to speak to a Hindu Swami, Maharishi Om, and he said his experience of life is that he's just carried along. And he, from his perspective, he might say, no, there's no free will. But that's his lived experience. How did he get there? Through exercising his will, through undertaking spiritual practice. And on top of it, whether or not there's free will, this creates the secondary question of to do or not to do. The really harmful types of Neo-Advaita will say, don't do anything because you're not a doer. The doer doesn't exist. This is in complete contradiction to what Ramana and all actual non-dual teachers teach. So to anyone who has received this toxic teaching that there's no free will, what I want to say is it's an unanswerable question. There's no mental solution to it. And whoever taught you that did you harm. They gave you literally a mental trap. So I would invite you to step out of the question and do the next right thing. Do the next thing that feels right. And come to a knowing about free will. And I'm not speaking from experience. I can't sit here and say, here's the answer to this. But what I can say is, here's the way out of such toxic, twisted, tormenting, tumultuous traps. Another Hindu Swami who I had the pleasure of connecting with on this topic said that, let me see if I can remember his exact words. This is Swami Muktananda. He said that in order to realize that, so he didn't even talk about, see, the whole problem with free will is it creates all these secondary problems. So he didn't even speak of that. And Ramana himself didn't speak of it very much. Neo-Advaita teachers speak about it all the time because they basically are going around spreading problems. But Swami Muktananda spoke about doership. And what he said is, in order to realize, not realize up here, but realize and know in the depths of your being that there is no doership, you have to make effort. That was his answer to that, which is very similar to Ramana's. You must make effort now. At a certain point, you'll be unable to make effort. So you've noticed I've done my best to not address the question, is there free will or not? Because it's a mental trap. What I do here on this, in my own life, in my work, and on this channel, is I help people rise above the mental traps that Neo-Advaita is. And Neo-Advaita is a belief system. Non-duality is a light, actual non-duality is a light structure that leads you so that you can directly know the truth for yourself. Neo-Advaita is more like a religion, a very toxic religion at that. Hope that's helpful. Thank you so very much. Take care, beautifuls. And whether there is or isn't free will, go enjoy the day. If the sun is out, go drink in a little sun, get your feet bare on the earth, dance, listen to a little music, read some poetry, do something good for yourself today. That's my wish for you. That's what I'm going to do.